And we are live once again. Everybody knows every Tuesday night at 8, it's time for another exciting edition of the MCW Cast. Now, we already know I'm legacy MCW announcer Larry Legend. Joining us this week.
Larry, you're looking so fine this week.
My mama made me that way.
Look, sweet Larry Legend, just Boston Celtics jersey on, right?
Already. You know what it is.
You, what is that? What's in that bag right there?
These are all goodies from the Cannabis Festival that I hosted this past weekend in Atlantic City, and I was going to talk about the coffee.
How did I not get invited to this?
You were handling birthday parties, or you know what?
You're right. I was working all week. You're right. I was working all weekend.
I thought that was a Canadian hat, but
I mean it's a type of maple. It's a type of maple, but no, this
is
all,
a leaf.
It's all my swag, my green swag from the Cannabis Festival in Atlantic City, presented by Boardwalk Buds. But
we're gonna get to that. I'm Brent Terring.
I'm Tara.
It's my first time outside the house. Sorry, guys.
And we're so excited to have y'all with us again for another. What episode is this? 25.
25.
Good God, we're silver.
25. Yep.
We are silver.
25.
Gonna make our way to gold before long. That would be what 100.
Let's go with 100. Yeah. Sure. Okay.
So
we make the rules. I just tell me and I'll type it.
So a lot happened this week. A lot going on in the world of wrestling, but I don't want to mess up your guys' flow. What do we usually tackle next? I was just looking at the recap of Danny Mays' appearance last week, a fellow stick man, a fellow microphone MC manager, master of ceremonies, and Danny Mays is literally like he's one of the best. Now, I don't know how you feel about this, Larry. Like, I know when you get in there with like another play-by-play guy, like when two big Jack guys are around, there's Jack guy heat. Two handsome guys, there's handsome guy heat. With ring announcing though, like Larry and Danny, both of y'all, two different flavors of ice cream, right?
Indeed.
Both phenomenal. Both of you guys bring an energy to the people and to the show that otherwise would not exist. You make it fun to be there. You're the first thing the fans see, and you make it fun to be there. But do you guys have heat? Because you're occupying the same airspace. Now, do you ever look at him and go, he's good, but...
Well, you know, it's funny you bring it up.
We talked about this last week.
Yeah, we should have. I don't know why we danced.
We talked about the heat with Al. Yeah.
Well, the difference between Al and Danny was that Danny, for whatever reason, just always approached me with so much reverence.
Yeah.
Kind of like when we bought in Gary Michael Capetta up at the North Point Flea Market, you know, when
we brought him here too.
Well, I wasn't around for that.
Okay.
But
a couple years ago for one of the tribute to the Legends convention, we had him here for the
convention.
convention.
He's a regular of MCW Pro. But the first time, you know, I was pretty much waiting on him hand and foot because I mean, this is the Gary Michael Capetta, someone that I grew up and had influenced my career for many, many years. So to be able to even share the same space with him, I kind of was like, Mr. Capetta, can I get you a bottle of water? Oh, right this way, Mr. Capetta, you know, like kind of you know.
Yeah.
So Danny, in all the times that I ever came as a guest, a lot of the times at the behest of the Bruiser, because I think he really enjoyed that intro that I gave him for all those years. Danny always was like right there, like, look, I got, why don't we have you do this? You know, almost taking like a directorial role of like, okay, we got 3 announcers, boom, this is what we're going to do. Al, you're going to start it off. I'm going to go down the middle. Larry, you close it out big. And I always admired that about him, and I knew, you know, he cared.
Right.
You know, he cared.
He was so easy to work with when he started. Well, we talked about this a little bit last week, how there was heat between Al and Danny, but at the same time, that was when I was starting ring announcing, and there wasn't heat between Al and I. Like, he just was like, oh, we'll share. We'll split the card. We'll do this, you know. But then, Danny Mays is here.
Maybe it
was that. I guess I'd known Al I knew him for 20 plus years, and you know, we started in radio together, so maybe we had that connection that Danny was an outsider at the time.
Now, if I had come back to an MCW Pro show and I'd seen that Danny Mays was like a schlemiel, you know what I mean? Like
real jabroni.
A two-tone suit out there, you know, white socks.
Cobweb,
you know what I'm saying? And we have
bargain bin.
quite a few MCs that look the part of what I'm describing. Now, if he looked like that, I don't care how reverent he would have been, I would have had heat with him because, I mean, this is my mantle.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
you take this serious.
Exactly, you know, because, you know, they're only going to believe as much as you believe. So...
so no
heat between Danny and I ever. And actually, Brent, as an MC and as an MC that gets around, anytime that I have the opportunity to kind of chop it up with another ring announcer, especially some of the ones that are kind of bubbling and really dressed down for the nines or up to the nines or however that saying goes, I really will go out of my way to, connect with them, discover, and then like respond, and who knows, work out some like Joel and Larry heat, which turned, we didn't have any real heat, but that was a number 2 feud of the year that year.
I remember.
So,
it's interesting too, like what you guys just described is 2 types of people, right? There's the people in wrestling who, no matter what is happening, they're gonna have heat with somebody. I gotta have heat. I gotta have heat with somebody.
At
Right.
the core of it,
Testosterone.
It's fragile ego,
Yeah.
insecurity, right? And then there's other people like you just said. Let me see what I can learn from him. You'll give them a chance. Like if somebody's straight up just like, come on, man,
Right.
I'm done with you. Yeah, I'm not gonna call it heat. I'm just done with you. But you see that now, the 2 different types of people, and I've encountered that in wrestling now. Like for me, with like play-by-play and commentary, very, once in a while I'll run into another white boy with a square jaw and the hard part, but he don't got no cane and no limp. So I'm a little...
Right?
Now, if you wheel in another play-by-play guy in a wheelchair, I might have some handicap.
the walker.
We
scoop
might.
yourself down
What's
there.
Lucky up to these
Look,
days?
yeah, it might get a little tense in here. You know what I'm saying? The temperature might rise. No, I think that's the way to, because you see, like, and that's just how the business is built. Like, it's so
easier-
competitive.
It's easier when you play together. You know what I
Right.
mean?
That's
As
a new
opposed to-
school
yeah.
mentality, though.
Yeah.
The old school,
It
it was. Remember, we were taught like protect your neck, son.
Yeah,
'cause-
you're
Yeah, the territory
Look out for
days.
you because no one else is going to.
Well, and you know
Yeah.
something, and I wanted to bring this up. I hate to really dwell on the last episode that much, but this is something I was kind of kicking myself for. In regards to Al, and in particular the MC role, there have been countless times that I've heard about an MC kind of starting with a particular group, and I'm thinking Ring of Honor and Steven DeAngelis, former ECW announcer. He kind of slid right into Ring of Honor in its early years.
Slid is a good verb. Slithered
Well, he
and
got
slid.
he got
Slinked.
he got his tail in there
Yeah.
until Gabe took Ring of Honor to the New England area, and that's when a young Bobby Cruz
Yes.
from that Boston area came there, and
Karina was quite fond of him.
yes, indeed, and the rest is history.
Bobby Cruz is fantastic.
He is one of my favorite announcers to share a microphone with. But Steve still holds a great deal of resentment towards Bobby Cruz, and still, if he tells the story, says that kind of I took one weekend off and Bobby came and just grabbed that microphone with an iron.
You're damn right he did.
Absolutely.
You
And that is why, in Al's defense, I know the territory of the microphone, and I know how those spots are. You don't really have 3 announcers on a show.
Right.
Somebody's
So-
not getting paid.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right. And what's the number 1 rule when you're in there with that mic? Don't you let nobody ever take it from you. Watch that on AEW every week. They're kicking Tony Schiavone out of the ring. I'm going, who doesn't want to be interviewed by Tony Schiavone?
Right.
it was one of
Never let them get that mic.
it was one of the things I wanted to mention to Danny. Again, not to dwell too much on episode 24, but all of the announcers on TV today are like, they get bullied.
They do.
No one ever did that to Gene Okerlund.
Very beta. They're these
Yeah.
beta little simps.
Yeah,
Man.
Yes.
Joey Styles straight up knocked out JBL, bro. I had to call MMA one time with JBL, and the whole time he's on me about, calling me gay, and I laid him out in the middle of the broadcast. He was just doo-doo face the whole time. I'm coming for you, John Bradshaw, late 50.
You hear that, JBL?
Yeah.
I'm sure he's listening to the MCW Cast. And speaking of listening to the MCW Cast or viewing it, all the platforms, we want you to like, subscribe.
Google Play,
Yeah.
SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Radio Public, Castbox. Subscribe. Don't just listen. Subscribe to all of those sources. Then, of course, if you want to watch the video format, we've got it on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. Couldn't think for a second there.
Okay.
That's a lot.
Speaking of YouTube, don't forget that's where you can check out our Flashback Friday. So when we go on these walks down memory lane, as we are wont to do here at the MCW Cast, you can check out some of these matches. The one that will be up this week is from 2015, Autumn Armageddon. It was a loser leaves MCW match, and it was against the legend Mickie James versus Amber Rodriguez.
I recall this match, I believe. I think, obviously, Mickie has performed in MCW since then, so either the stipulation was paper thin or Amber was gone, and I remember it being
Amber
I don't know the way that this story goes.
Amber did leave. She actually wound up joining the Coast Guard, I believe, right after that, shortly thereafter.
Wow.
It's funny
But,
how that coincided.
Amber has made her return to MCW, sorry.
Wrestling.
Amber has made her return to wrestling,
Oh.
She took some time off, did the thing, with the
Had a
Coast
kid,
Guard,
right?
had a kid, right, and now she's back. And,
Bringing that mom energy.
I wonder how
It's
the
different.
car.
Well, it's that whole mom role model thing, like that. I'm going to be a role model for my daughter.
It's
I don't have
different, right?
daughters, but,
Before you have before a lot of women performers have children, and then after when they come back, it's a different. You got a different animal on your hands, brother.
Yep, indeed. All right, well.
I want to, real quick,
Go
before
ahead.
we go to our first break, just shout out our coffee club members.
Yes, thank you, Larry.
We have been enjoying some cold brew. We don't have any out right now, but that's okay. We'll go to a break and get some placed. But also, with my travels this weekend, I got to host a cannabis festival up in New Jersey, Atlantic City, and I came across this new coffee made with hemp and MCT, and it's called
That sounds delicious.
High Coffee Grounds. Yeah, so we will be brewing up some of this and probably enjoying it. And shout out to the company, Oli Hemp Farms, for providing this delicious morning. Actually, with the way it makes you feel, afternoon.
Is that wake and
cup of
bake
coffee.
kind of deal?
And
Well,
just,
yeah,
to,
it's got
just
all
to
the-
clarify,
it's got the
hemp
ingredients.
is 100% legal to buy and consume in the United States thanks to the Farm Bill.
Lovely.
Okay, just want to throw that disclaimer out there.
I'm still kind of in the haze of the weekend, hence my green jersey, and I had some of this before I came in. I've got the cannabis leaf bling bling, but we'll get into
We're
more
going to take
of
a
that,
break and
yeah.
make some coffee.
Indeed.
We hope you're enjoying this week's episode of the MCW Cast. At MCW Pro Wrestling, much like many small businesses throughout the country, the pandemic has presented many challenges. For a company like ours that hosts events with live audiences, the impact has been even more severe, and all of our forms of revenue have been cut off. In order to continue to engage with our fans on a regular basis, we made the decision to begin to produce the MCW Cast and are providing it for absolutely no cost on Facebook Live, Twitch, YouTube, and SoundCloud. If you'd like to support us during these challenging times, you can do so in several ways. The most popular way is to buy us a coffee to help fuel the cast. Just go to buymeacoffee.com/MCWcast, and for just $3, you can buy the cast a coffee, or you can choose to become a member of the cast for just $5 a month and receive several special perks. That's buymeacoffee.com/MCWcast. You can also contribute directly on Cash App, MCW Wrestling, or on Venmo, MCW-Wrestling. You can also show your support for the MCW Cast while sporting some great gear by going to teespring.com/stores/MCWcast to pick up a full line of official MCW Cast merchandise, from coffee mugs and face coverings to t-shirts and sweatshirts. Also, don't forget to comment in the threads on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch to get your questions answered on a future episode. And you can also send us a tweet using the hashtag AskMCWCast. Thank you for your support, and now, back to the show.
Welcome back to the MCW Cast. We got so excited here in that first segment.
Talking about coffee.
I've had too much of the
Yeah.
the coffee
I said
club
it was
here.
It was going to be here, so.
Usually we introduce our guests, we tell you a little background about them, and I'll take the heat. I forgot to, and now he's
Where is he?
not here.
Where's our guest?
I don't see anybody in the chair, and usually
The Invisible
we're-
Man?
I mean, Tara, you did take us to that
I
break quite
did.
quickly.
I'm sorry.
Pete's on Terra.
It was the
I mean-
coffee. I wanted more coffee.
Yeah.
Oh!
Well, there he is.
Well,
International sensation, the Peruvian
legend.
dream.
Peruvian dream.
Rayo.
Easy, a nice easy. Yeah,
Here in
We're
the
working.
studio.
We're not working stiff tonight, brother. We're working. Yeah, all right.
Well, what a
Okay,
pleasant
okay.
surprise for our silver edition of the MCW Cast.
Were you behind there the whole time for the first segment?
I don't know where I was.
You don't know where you were.
I don't know where I was. I just showed up. I just opened my eyes and I heard my name Rayo and I just came out of the table. That's all.
Globetrotter, Rayo.
Yeah, well, you might
He
not.
is. You are all over the place
This is
these
true.
days,
Exactly. I
which
mean,
we will talk
yeah, you're
about.
right.
But you are all over the place these days, and we're thankful that you made time in your busy schedule, international schedule, I might say, your busy international schedule to
Thank you so much.
join us in
Tara.
the studio live. Thank you.
Thank you guys for bringing me here. Like I'm very thankful for this opportunity. You know, I want to tell my story and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Well, it's rare that you would get the opportunity to. You know, I really want to like tackle this thing because obviously people watching and listening to the MCW cast can see and hear that there's an accent, right? There can be English is what your second language,
Yeah, English is my second language.
and you are from, like we said,
I was born in Lima, Peru.
Lima, Peru. That's the capital of Peru, isn't it?
Yeah, Lima is the capital. Peru is the country. South America, if people don't know. It's
Not
all the
central,
way down
yeah.
south.
But a lot of people don't, do they?
Some people do, some people don't. It just depends on who you ask and what location
Yeah.
and if they went to school or not. You know.
Well, from an
If they went to school.
from an announcer's perspective, it's exactly why I gave you that rousing introduction after you
Yeah.
popped up from down below as the international
Mm-hmm.
sensation Rayo, and not only international sensation.
I used to be the soccer sensation.
I remember
right.
those
Tara
days.
gave
We're
me
gonna
that,
talk
man.
about
I
those
loved
days.
it.
Yeah.
I love that. You know, it was unique for our MCW fans. You'll know what we're talking about. If you're new to MCW, Rayo was not just a wrestling sensation, but a soccer sensation. And it was something new and different. And, you know,
It was fun.
it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
If you can go to
Yeah.
MCW Rage TV, I believe, and catch up on all those things.
Yep.
And you'd come out with your teamed with the Bruiser for a while, and you'd come out with the soccer ball and all types of. It was like odd couple stuff, right?
It was
Nonsense,
so
hilarity
fun.
ensuing.
Oh, Tara was involved in all of
It
this.
was
She
so
knows she was.
fun. I can't even I remember coming up with like the first one, and then like I kind of was hesitant to like say it to Bruiser, and then he was like, "That's kind of funny. Let's do it." And I was like, "Yes, all right." And then it was like, then we all just kind of brainstormed, and let's do this, let's do that. You had so many great ideas, and it was like just the idea of
Yeah, I
it.
felt it was like it was a teamwork. You know,
It
like,
really
a
was.
teamwork,
It was
like,
awesome.
'Cause-
It was so
and it
much
was
fun.
natural. It was
Yep.
natural.
Yeah.
It felt genuine.
The Bruiser or whoever would be sitting there, and they'd be getting lacing up or whatever, and the ball would roll in the frame, and he'd be like, "Oh no, not this! Oh my!" And he was like eager. He's so eager to please and so eager to show the top guy in MCW that he's worth being his partner and everything. And I felt that it's
Friends
storytelling.
with benefits.
Oh yeah.
Friends
Yeah, at the
with
time I didn't know what it meant.
benefits.
I really thought we were just friends with benefits. You know, like the benefits is
It
that we
was
win the title, right?
My
Right?
favorite one. It
So
was
good.
my favorite one.
Yep.
It was
I was
great.
19 years old. Come on, guys.
Oh yeah, well they say that comic timing. That's all that it is. It's in the timing. So one thing that I know that you bring to the table, and maybe a lot of folks that are watching the cast and learning more about you don't know, is kind of the stage presence that comes from classically trained acting. So can you talk a little bit into the fans that don't know, and also to me, because I actually didn't know this about you. You know, you kind of started to come along and rise up in MCW during my absence, but talk to us a little bit about your your training when it comes to the timing, the acting, the beats, the pauses, and all of that good stuff.
Well, first of all, I feel that MCW is one of the best wrestling schools in the whole world. The reason why is because they train us like if we're in the military. They show us how to do the basics. They treat us. They're harsh with us to a certain extent, but it's because they want us to improve. So this is the first thing that I want to talk about. The second thing, the acting part. I feel that, at least personally for me, I feel that in the acting there has to be something real about yourself. There has to be real emotion, because to me wrestling is all about connecting with the fans, you know. And that's one thing, like when you're in that ring and the fans see you around, if you're trying to like be fake to them, if you're trying to pretend to be something that you're not, like the fans are gonna notice that.
Right.
Yeah.
So hold up. Let's back it up just a second here. because that covered a lot of ground. You bring something to the table in the sense that you came from a different country and moved to this country to pursue a profession that many are called, few are chosen. And what has that done, coming from a different country, what has that done to your personality to mold you into the man you are, to make you built and war ready for these kind of encounters you would have in the wrestling business?
I feel that it has me. It's helped me get out of my comfort zone. Like something that I can say is that before I started wrestling, I used to be very shy. It used to be really hard for me to open up to people or to be able to be myself. But through these years with wrestling, that's something that wrestling has given me, that my trainers have given me, is the ability to be able to express myself.
Because it's pretty amazing, man. Like, I couldn't wake up and go to Peru and go, you know what? I'm gonna be the biggest soap opera star here in Peru, and learn the language, be comfortable with the people. Like, what would happen to me? Would I'd be dead within a week?
Yeah,
Wouldn't
not
I?
just Peru, Lima.
Lima, right?
You know, I mean, we're not talking
Now,
about a small place.
Am I mistaken? There's not a lot of wrestling in Peru, correct?
There's a few wrestling promotions, but there's not as much because like Peru, South America is more known for soccer.
Right,
That's where I got the soccer thing from.
Yeah, I have.
Everybody's running a soccer gimmick down there, brother.
I've had a couple of students from Peru, and when I told them about you, actually, and they were like, oh, "That's amazing! We don't have really wrestling," and you know that. So that makes an impact. You know, it's that. Representation, you know, so inspiring a younger generation to follow in footsteps and to know that this is an opportunity that maybe isn't necessarily there. Now, we will talk a little bit more in the show about the promotion that you've worked with down there, and you can tell us all about that. But we want to talk a little bit, not just you coming to MCW, but you're working for a lot of places these days, yeah?
Can I hop on that too?
Yeah.
That was really interesting because I think this too, ma'am, and it's very important. Like, you coming from Peru here is so, it seems like such a niche thing that, like, you're like, nobody could relate to that. Nobody can relate to that. That's so, she just told you in her school there's children there that can relate to that. Like, I think that's a big thing that we miss with wrestling, because it's an interesting business that is, the line is blurred between fiction and nonfiction, and egos are either, they're massive yet fragile. So what is real within the business of wrestling? Not to get too philosophical, but the real thing is
Emotions.
the emotions, and you're somebody's answer. Like, somebody out there wants to believe they can do something that everybody else in the world and the whole universe is telling them, you're nuts. You're out of your mind. That can't be done. Yeah, but he did it. And that's huge. Like, that's, in my mind, that's what's real in wrestling. Like, you know, whatever is unique to you, you know what I mean? So anyway, I thought that was something worth. How does that, do you think about these things as you go through the independent scene and on the bigger and better things with some tryouts as they have come? We'll talk about that in a bit with World Wrestling Entertainment, and but that's the big one. We're gonna wait for that one. Does that go through your head that you're somebody's answer? You're an inspiration, possibly.
Like, I'm sure that there's some people that look up to me, and all I wanted to be, besides being like a world champion, is to be able to inspire people. You know, like, I want to teach people that just what they see in their reality is not, like, that's not the only thing in life, you know, like, that you can do things beyond that. You just have to really put yourself into it. You have to expand your consciousness. Expanding your consciousness is everything.
Explain that. What does that mean?
So, like, the best way that I can explain this is in the wrestling business. There's a lot of people, like you said, that they are so, like, sensitive about things. They're too much in their heads. Newer students, as you see them, like, they're in the ring, and you put them in the first match for the first time, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to react.
They're just remembering spots. What comes next?
It's because they're thinking too much in their head. But when you expand your consciousness, you don't. It's more like you're in tune with everything that's happening around you. You're just you're not thinking in your little bubble. You're thinking outside of the bubble, or in other words, thinking outside of the box.
You're connected with everything around you, in and around you, so you can react and act accordingly.
Exactly. So to me, that's expanding your consciousness. And of course, when it comes to character-wise, I have come up with this thing called reach the divine state of mind.
That's trippy, bro.
So essentially, all of that acting training that I was mentioning to you or asking about, that's kind of a way of life, and that breathes and lives through your role in professional wrestling.
You know, like I said, like for something, acting cannot be fake. There has to be something real in that in order to feel genuine. If it's fake, people are gonna call you phony. They can tell you're a phony. You have to be real. Rayo is real. Larry Legend is real. Terry is real.
I'm a
Randy's
phony. I'm a big fat phony.
Big faker over there. No, but you're right. I had to. This was years and years ago, but on the Springer Show, I had a spot where I had to cry, and I'm not typically a crier, but I had to think back to something that made me cry, and I put myself, and I did acting as well, and that was my. If you look in my high school yearbook, it said I wanted to be an actress. I kind of ended up there, but anyway.
You absolutely did.
Yeah, so I pretty much ended up there. But I made myself like go to a place in my mind that was painful to me so that I could cry. And it's that, you know, you transport yourself mentally so that you can do that. And then I remember after the fact, the producer was like, that was great. That was amazing. And like, I didn't know I could even cry on demand until that moment because I generally try not to cry.
Now
But,
when you need
yeah.
that, do you think back to the Springer Show if you need to cry?
No, those were some good times. I
Those
had a good
were
time in
some
Chicago.
Oh, you did those too?
times.
You
Oh,
did
yeah,
that?
we did it numerous times.
Oh, but the back in the day, that was like the thing to hop on. Are you hopping on the Springer
Oh,
train?
yeah.
Like that was
Yeah.
the gravy train.
What
That was the celebrity boxing, right?
Yeah, right.
Oh, I wouldn't mind announcing some of that. That was my first flight ever in life, was out to Chicago.
Really?
Oh,
In
wow.
life. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my
All through
gosh.
MCW Pro. Wow, that's
Get on
that is
out.
that's amazing.
Well, you never know what opportunities are going
Right.
to arise, to be perfectly honest. I
And
mean,
when those opportunities
Yep.
arise, sometimes it sounds like the method acting of remembering dark times, or just the realism, the really real. Living in the really real is how you
Yeah.
can draw out those great performances that are believable and keep your motor running.
Right.
Yeah.
Keep you engaged. I think, Rayo, there's been a change in you. You know, when did I meet you? In 2014?
2015, I believe.
15, something like that. And
Yeah.
how long have you been wrestling?
About 5-6 years.
5 or 6 years at that point.
and where'd you get started?
I started right. I would say like originally, like if I have to talk, like originally I used to train for this other place called the House of Pain, and like in
I knew the answer.
Close to
John,
West
is that
That's
John
why I asked
Rambo?
you. Yeah.
yeah, but like
Yeah.
unfortunately like
Yeah.
John Rambo.
Up in Hagerstown.
Oh, Rambo.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
NWL NLW.
And-
Hey,
yeah.
Okay.
hey, Drew
NWL.
Hankinson, Gallows came out of there. So
Yeah. I mean, like I had a good time over there, but like I didn't feel that I was gonna reach the stuff that I wanted to
Right.
reach in there. So that's why I came here to MCW, because I came here through Leo Rush, Patrick, Renee Michelle. I met them over there at the House of Pain, and they talked to me about MCW. So I looked it up, and I was like, this is where I have to go.
Wow, how amazing that those three energies that you just mentioned, who all put their all into making it real, were able to connect with someone like you and take you from that environment you kind of got broken into and take you to the promised land, as it were. How important do you think it is for the foundation, the training academy that you're immersed in, to be as strenuous and testing as MCW Pro Wrestling's Academy? Can you talk about the differences about where you were when you broke in versus being around?
So like overall, like I said, like everything is all about foundations, you know, like the foundation is everything. Over there, at least I felt that like the training wasn't as serious.
they weren't building a solid foundation for you. Because
No.
at the end of the day, if it all goes south, right? Everything you've called or everything you have in your mind all goes south. If you have that foundation, you can at least go and wrestle, right? If you lose it, top rope
Yeah.
breaks, you can wrestle.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that,
Yeah, if you don't have that solid foundation, then
what are we doing?
Yeah,
Right.
they were. Sounds like they were being silly over there. They were having a good time.
Well,
Okay.
You know, they did the thing where they had the free shows. You know, what was it, Tuesday nights or something like that?
So like
where
I
people could-
wouldn't say that
yeah,
it was
it's-
totally bad, because at the same time, like it broke me into the business. I
Yeah.
got some
You're
experiences from
grateful
there.
for that.
So I'm grateful for the experiences because I was able to learn to a
Right.
certain extent. I was able to learn about myself a little bit there. But I feel that my training continued here at MCW, and at MCW is where I actually build my foundation.
And you wouldn't have met Leo and Renee had you not ended up in it's funny how life
Yeah,
works, right?
exactly.
Indeed.
And I also know I remember this vividly. So when I came back, there was a crew. It was Rayo, and it was Ken Dixon, and it was Joe Keys, and he looked like a little pudgy frat boy, like, you know what I mean?
Pretty sure you had just graduated. And
Yeah,
he actually
he
was
was
a frat
just a
boy.
baby, yeah, and Leo was, Leo hit the ground running out of everybody, and you guys, nothing against you guys, had to go through the normal paces of making it in this industry, of
Right.
those years of grinding, but you also did, like, I remember you not only what you did in the ring, but you did a lot of things outside of the ring, like graphics and videos and things to
And
make
your
yourself
gear. You made
valuable
your own
and
gear.
right?
Yeah.
How important is that?
I feel that like in wrestling, it's all about advertisement. You know, like wrestling, like you have to advertise yourself on social media. You have to advertise yourself on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. So like being able to know how to do the gear design, to do the graphics, the video editing, like that has helped me so much because like it makes me seem as a product. It's by itself. It makes me seem larger than what I could actually be. You know, I'm not saying that I'm not great, but what
No.
I'm saying is that it just like perception is reality.
Mm-hmm.
The way people perceive things, that's how they see it. So like the more effort you put into your product, like the better for you.
Right. I mean, and how many times have we all been on an indie show, excuse me, and the guys are in there with their generic gear that they ordered off of Amazon.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, I mean,
High spots. High spots.
oh, they sell it on Amazon too.
Oh, they
but
do?
Yeah. So you can buy your generic gear, but you know, really, this was the investment that you made in your character.
Mhm.
And I love seeing the elaborate things that you did. You did the inking thing for a while with that mask. I mean,
really
like this was,
dope, right?
it was unique and it was different and it set you apart. But more than that, it showed that you cared about your product and what you brought to it. You didn't just show up in generic gear and, you know, where you had some other guy in the locker room wearing the exact same pair of leggings.
we have about we're all the three of us 20 years in each, a little more
Yeah.
or less, right?
Yeah, a little less, but almost there.
Well, I'm
20.
20.
You're 20.
I'm
like-
22.
So you know
Damn.
it's
Math is not. I got an art degree. Math isn't my thing. I might be wrong on that.
it's
That
it's,
sounds about right.
it's
Well, you know, you were there before I arrived. You were already on shows, and I was like, you know,
Okay.
yeah, you were already on show. You're already having cat fights
Yeah,
out there,
you know,
and
yeah.
I'm carrying T-bars and whatnot. So yeah, but you said something really smart, man. You said your product. What is your product?
My product is Rayo.
You're your product.
I'm Rayo.
Most guys, people don't, girls and
They
guys,
don't get that.
they don't get that. In pro wrestling, you are your product.
But you know something? It's funny again, and I don't mean to dwell on kind of the connection that was made, but all those individuals that you mentioned who brought you along, all of them were so focused on, I am Renee Michelle. I am selling this to the highest bidder. And,
Yep.
you know, and
Right.
Leo with the setups. I remember he used to travel with these elaborate
Yeah, those
setups
banners,
for his,
the banners.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for his store, his pop-up
Right.
store.
Yep.
So, yeah. It's
Dress
just
for the job
I
you want.
remember the first, like his first gimmick table. It was him and Patrick, and they had like iron-on shirts. You
Yeah.
know, like I
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
it
yeah,
starts
he-
there, but
He
it,
made them like
Yeah,
he
yeah.
made them by himself.
yeah.
And now let me ask you, was that your hustle that you brought to them, or they taught you a little bit, or was it both of you guys teaching each other things?
Like, to be honest, I've always been good with graphics and stuff like that, but it was really like me riding with Leo to shows or going with them to training that I really picked up those things, because I would like ask him questions and he'd be like, and you would always see him on social media and he would always be like putting graphics in there, videos in there. So I learned that from him.
Okay.
Awesome. That's what I want to talk about after this short break.
Okay.
Is I want to talk about when you and Leo would go on the road together with Joe Keys and Ken Dixon, and some of the other things you learned and some of the places that you explored. When we get back after this station identification.
Show your support for the MCW Cast while sporting some great gear by going to teespring.com/stores/MCWcast. You can pick up a full line of official MCW Cast merchandise, from coffee mugs and face coverings to t-shirts and sweatshirts. Visit teespring.com/stores/MCWcast. Fuel the MCW Cast by visiting buymeacoffee.com/MCWcast. And for just $3, you can buy the cast a coffee. Or you can choose to become a member of the cast for just $5 a month and get several additional perks. That's buymeacoffee.com/MCWcast.
All right, we are back. Before we went to break, we were just starting to touch on some of your many road trips that you took with none other than Leo Rush and Joe Keys and Ken Dixon. And why don't you tell us a little bit about that, what that experience was like, and the bonds that you formed, and how that helped you to advance your career?
Okay, so like, as you guys can see me, like, I have an accent and all that stuff. And before then, like, I used to be really awkward. So at first, for me, it was very uncomfortable because you have big personalities like Ken Dixon, Joe Keys, and like Leo Rush, and I'm just right there, just along for the ride. So at first, it was kind of uncomfortable for me, But like, these experiences are important because that's what builds your character as a person. You learn from these people. Like, there's always something to learn from them.
You really captured them all three in those Ken Dixon.
I know. You can tell he spent a lot of time in the car with
yeah,
them.
you nailed it.
And then there's Rayo.
And Rayo. No, I remember. Go ahead, please.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I remember going to an event called StarCast, and it was like a weekend of kind of shows and a little bit of hanging out and debauchery and whatnot. And you were still
WrestleCade.
Not
WrestleCade.
StarCast, WrestleCade. And yeah, you guys were they're all there on their own dime, and I have buddy Chris Sharp, who's NXT UK and NXT referee, and they had a room for him. So I'm going, come on, man, y'all stay up in the room, right? And so we had some drinks and partied and had a great time. And I remember the next morning they were all slinking out early. They had to go, and I slept in a little bit. And Rayo comes behind me, gives me a hug, and he goes, "Goodbye, Brent," and left. And I said, "That's a good kid, man." It wasn't like
I don't remember.
Yeah, I said, "Goodbye, Brent." Just a hug,
Who all
goodbye.
was in part of this? It was Leo and all of
No,
them?
it was
Joe Keys?
Dixon, Keys, Rayo, Chris Sharp, myself,
And Oakley Woods.
Oakley
was
Woods.
there.
Yeah, was there.
Wow, that was so kind and thoughtful.
It
of
was.
you.
Nobody else said thank you. He just,
Yeah.
Thank you, Brent.
I've had a lot of wrestlers stay with me and partied with them until the wee hours of the night, and never once have I had one coddle me in my sleep.
Yeah.
For
I said,
letting me
Aw.
crash
I said
on the
that's a
floor.
good kid. He's a good kid.
Wow.
Yeah, so I
Lucky
appreciate that.
Brent.
Yeah. Wow, I was just thinking that probably would not happen to me if somebody comes up and cuddles me
it
from
might be a
behind.
problem, yeah.
It might be.
From
yeah.
behind.
Well, where did your journeys, like when you first started in the Maryland Mid-Atlantic area, what would be considered a long haul, a big road trip for you guys?
I would say the trips to like CZW or
Ooh, that's what I was gonna bring up next. Just now, I was gonna mention because I met you first.
at
I believe
CZW
when you were riding up with
Leo.
Leo, yeah, and I remember
Indiana?
What's that?
Is that Indiana or Ohio area?
No, that's
no,
Jersey.
Voorhees,
Jersey, okay,
Voorhees,
okay.
New Jersey.
I'm
yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry.
I mean, CZW's ran Indiana,
It
but I
feels
would
like
never-
it's far away.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but at the infancy of your career, it must have felt like forever.
Yeah, it was like 4 hours. Like I live in Virginia, so it was like 4 hours to get over there because we used to go to the Dojo Wars every Wednesday.
That's what I wanted to hear about. I wanted to hear about the Dojo Wars, and not only that, but kind of like your first kind of bubble of like who Rayo is being introduced to the masses. And that was when you didn't you do something with Joey Janela? Where
Oh
you
yeah,
were,
yeah. I used to do the Bat Boy too.
the Bad Boy 2.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So explain this. I don't know what this is, so
right.
explain it to me and the fans.
So first, explain Dojo Wars. And
Okay.
This is important because CZW kind of dropped the ball during the global gimmick, and I feel like that they already had the blueprint for what any company could do when you can't have fans, and that was the Dojo Wars, which was like a free for all. Anyone could come talk.
a lot of stars came out of this too.
Well, a lot of stars came through
Through it.
You know, 'cause
Okay.
Right.
this is what it was. Anyone could come.
Okay.
and
So explain
participate,
what it is.
So like the concept of that was that a lot of people wanted to work for CCW to be on the main shows, because CCW would be the one place that if you get over on CCW, like you can wrestle everywhere. So people would go through the Dojo Wars, which just would be like anybody could just come in, wrestle
Wrestle for free.
wrestle for free, wrestle in front of a small audience,
Mhm.
and that's how you kind of work your way up there. It was like the NXT.
I feel like they got the idea from Beyond Wrestling, and not just Beyond Wrestling. Their shows feel a lot like that, and started during.
That's
like,
really
it's interesting,
interesting,
yeah.
right?
Because we would get at the birthday parties, we would get guys and girls who would go to the dojo wars, who would then contact me and be like, "Hey, can I come work your birthday party?" And I'm like, "We pay in meatballs. If that's all right with you, then come on down." And we got people from that same thing. So I think it was just that it was a whole group of guys and girls who were really hungry for ring time and working with
Yeah.
experienced people, and it didn't matter if it was, you know, in front
Yeah,
of a
you
small
could try
crowd or a closed-
any
yeah,
characters, any gimmicks that you wanted to try. You can
Exactly.
just throw it out there
see what sticks.
and see what sticks.
So how did you stumble upon becoming? I mean, because you came to CZW Dojo
Mhm.
Wars as just Rayo soccer Rayo.
No, actually, the first day that I came in as a bad boy too, because at the time, like they were doing a gimmick where Joey Janela would have a new bad boy every single week.
Okay.
So it came time for me, and like in the back, he just tells me, he whispers in my ear, and he's like, "I want you to say this," and I'm like, "What? Are you sure you want me to say this?" And I'm like, and he's like, "Yeah, just say it." Okay,
His
okay, man.
imitations are on point,
I
aren't
know.
they? Yeah, just say it.
So then I'm
Sounds
in
like Joey.
with the glasses and stuff. But like we're in the match because we're doing a tag team match. So like I do exactly what he tells me. I get in the ring. I'm in the middle of the ring, and I scream, "My name is the Bad Boy 2, dos, and I like sex."
So was the idea like you're foreign exchange student and he's telling you horrible things to say?
I don't know, he just told me to say
Say
that. I
that.
was like, okay.
I think
Oh,
at the
that
time Joey was kind of one of DJ's favorite wrestlers, performers, yeah. And in as much he pretty much got to do what he wanted to do, and
That was
would
what he
always-
wanted to do that
he
night.
wanted to have
wanted to do that.
Rayo as the Bad Boy 2
Saying
come out
he
and
loves
say
sex.
that.
But
Yeah.
the thing is that like it got over with the crowd and with DJ so much that a few months later at Cage of Death, they actually make me do exactly the same thing.
You came out of Cage of Death. Tell this story, and you said
Exactly
Do the
the
same
same
thing
thing
in front of the
the
audience.
whole audience, and everybody was chanting sex.
Which you
So it's kind of like that play with the friends with benefits thing, you know,
Yeah,
where
exactly.
it's like the, you know,
So that's something that I learned
Yeah.
from both Joey Janela and Bruiser, is that like you got to stop taking yourself so serious. Same with Dean. Dean
Yeah.
taught me this. too.
Get
You gotta
over.
stop taking yourself so
Mhm.
seriously. Just like get over yourself. Like have fun. Like wrestling is fun.
and get over.
And get over. I mean,
Mhm.
That's the rule.
that's
right?
part of that. Like when
Yeah.
when you're having fun, people are gonna have fun with you.
Well, like Dwayne Gill says, funny equals money. That was the name of the last show that he ever wrestled on.
Mm-hmm.
And he made quite a bit of money being
Really?
funny. You know, sometimes not
It's all
intentional
perspective,
sales.
right? Like it's where you
Right,
come
yeah.
from. If you're cornet, you're going funny don't equal money. Because well, guess what, man? I mean, you are kind of funny, but you made your money on some heat. But Dwayne Gill made his money being funny.
Yeah.
So like, it's art, baby.
And
It's
Ryan,
art.
you were noticed. I remember, seeing the whole Bad Boy 2, and like you said, it got over. And CZW. What year was that you came out at the Cage of Death?
That was saying 2015.
Okay,
Oh, wow.
25.
Okay.
Wow,
Right around
wow.
the
So you
same
guys
time.
crossed paths right when you were really getting that proverbial rocket strapped to your rear end as far as your education goes.
It's interesting too, like when you start out. For those who are listening to the podcast, not the visual, one more time.
That was the rocket, the proverbial rocket.
So I there's this period in this business where you sign up and start, and you have in your mind like who you're gonna be, and it never works. You may get the opportunity to try it, and it really never works
Yeah,
out that way because you're a mark. And I forgive me for saying, I don't mean it in a derogatory manner, but you're a fan. You don't know. You're not an engineer. You don't know how to build the engine yet.
Right.
Period. So you have this idea of what you're going to be, and you go out there and you try it, and it is literally a fart in church, right? And so you go, okay, well, now I should probably start listening to the people who actually know. So
Yeah.
then you start taking on gimmicks and ideas that others have for you, correct? Like soccer, like I like sex and joy. And once that starts to get over and you start to get over, then what do? You start making your own rules, right? And I feel like that's where you are.
Mm-hmm. Like overall, I feel that like this whole journey is mostly about finding yourself, for everyone in here, because like people can give you a perspective of what they see of you, but you have to realize that everything is subjective to people's interpretation. Like some people might not like me because of the color of my skin. Some people might not like me because of the way that I talk. Some people might like me because I'm very good looking. I don't know.
Glad that you brought that part up. I wasn't gonna holler it from the stage, but
but the point is that like it's all about finding what works for you,
Yeah.
and what works best for you is how comfortable you feel with that, and that's something that Pat Brink taught me. Like you got to be comfortable in your own skin.
Right.
Pat Brink, of course, for those who don't know, is started at Bone Breakers, the original MCW Pro Wrestling Training Center, and he was there for a number of years, and then he became Genesis on the shows, and then he went on to become Calvin Reigns in FCW for 2 developmental runs, I believe.
Yeah.
he was just a
He was
guest on
he was
the-
a guest
on the
too.
cast.
Number
Okay.
19 maybe or something.
One of them.
One of
I
them,
think
okay.
Cole was 19. And
All right, so maybe
Pat
was it-
was 20.
I'm sorry, I'm
20.
just doing the thing where
Again,
I'm
math,
assuming.
not my thing.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I mean,
And so he's the Pat Brink, of course. He's the one that said you have to be comfortable.
In your own skin.
Mhm.
Same
Right.
with all the trainers have said that. Like Dean has said that, Bruiser has said that, but it's like Pat Brink, he said it that way. Dean's
Yeah.
way was different. Bruiser's
Yeah.
way was different.
sometimes it's hearing it from 2 different,
Yeah.
mentors
Mhm.
where, maybe what one is saying isn't hitting the hammer right home, but you get this perspective and it kind of hones in on the bullseye there. Rayo, I also saw you because the timelines are very kind of tumultuous for me. I saw you at a lot of Ring of Honor shows. I remember a lot of the times you would be traveling to ROH shows, whether it was TV or the pay-per-view, and kind of helping out, whatever.
Politicking a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Politicking. Right?
Kissing babies, shaking hands, Joe Koff, Greg Gilliland.
Mhm.
But did you ever get any opportunities that were fruitful that entire time? And I feel like it
Oh,
was a number of
yes.
years, pretty much the entire time I was there. It was like 3 years. I saw you the entire time. Did you ever get any?
I did. I was able to get into the Ring of Honor dojo. It's a funny story. Like I wanted to try out for the Ring of Honor back in 2018. So I messaged Todd Sinclair and I was like, hey, I would like to try out. And he was like, hey, since you already done this tryouts and you helped us out, we can give you the same benefits without you having to do the tryout. So that's what he said at first.
Okay.
Oh,
But I have to like ask over and over and over and over, like for a whole month, every single week I was asking him and he's like, not yet, not yet, not yet. And then eventually I showed up in person at one of the shows in Baltimore. And then he talked to Hunter after asking so many times. And then
That's
the
it.
next day I was brought to the dojo just for one day. First, it was just one day, and then I had a match on the fly with Hunter. And then after that, I asked him, is it okay if I can keep coming to the dojo? And he's
Smart.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
You're so smart, dude. You're
Yeah.
smarter than look, you're saying these things that a lot of people, it takes them years to get.
Oh, yeah.
And what you just said right there was you realize that you have to be there in person.
you have to be
'cause
there.
It's hard
Yep.
to say no when you're right,
Right
there.
there.
And it is an out of sight, out of mind kind
out
of
of sight,
business.
out of mind.
Seriously, it is.
And the second just brilliant thing that you did that takes so many people so long to learn is when you do something good or do it well, ask for more. You knocked it out of the park. Hey, man, can I come train here every week now?
Yeah.
That's how you get things more. You don't ish the bed, so to speak,
Right,
and then
right.
go, hey, do you mind if I become a student
Yeah,
here? No,
yeah.
Right.
no, you keep the car warm and leave and then go away for a while and come back. But when you knock it out of the park, you ask for more. That's how you proceed and knock through the glass ceiling, so to speak.
Yeah, and so like I was so grateful that I didn't have to do the tryout. And on top of that, like a month later, I was able to do my debut in Ring of Honor. Me being the first Peruvian wrestler to debut for a company like Ring of Honor.
That's what's up.
When was that, Rayo? When was that?
That was, I think that was after you left.
Yeah, I mean, I had left.
2000.
Where'd you go?
It was
Been all over the place, Daddy-O.
It was October. I think October 11, 2018.
Wow.
That was the year after.
He's
I
on
left.
it.
Yeah. Okay. Right on. And it was
Yeah.
on TV. What was it? What was the?
At first it was dark matches. It's just dark matches.
Okay.
Who did you have the best experience or learn the most?
I
in
feel
wrestling there?
I feel that every experience I had, I learned something. But the one that I feel that was the most joyful was wrestling Red Titus,
Okay.
because he's one of my friends. He's one of he's another person that I listen to a lot. You know, like Red Titus. I have a lot of respect for Red Titus, and I was able to get in the ring with him last year. So like to me, that was special. You know.
That's very, very cool. So you guys, it's weird that wrestling's one of the only businesses where if you're friends, you kind of hit each other a little harder. You put a little more stink on, right?
Yeah.
And it's because there's a
I have
comfort
heard
zone,
that,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can try certain things you may not be. Hey man, I don't know if this is gonna work or not, but let's give it a whirl. Let's try it.
Yeah. Good thing I really don't have any friends. I guess if Ruckus ever hit me with something, he'd probably do it a little bit harder than him.
Oh, I saw Black Jeezy in Nashville.
Oh yeah, he's doing a little
Yeah.
power.
Yeah, Power. Yes, I saw him. So I don't know if y'all are friends or not anymore.
But yeah,
I digress.
That's awesome. I wish I was there in Ring of Honor. But I do remember the first Peruvian wrestler in Ring of Honor history kind of rang a bell with me. So yeah, that's it. How did that end? Did you just?
Did it end?
It's not. It hasn't ended. I'm still going there. I've been a little bit absent throughout the pandemic, but I'm finally coming back. So we'll see where it goes.
That's great.
I cannot.
Oh, go ahead.
I say I cannot judge the future. I can only control what's in front of me, and like whatever's in front of me, I have to do the best I can with that.
Live in the now,
Good
man.
attitude. Great attitude.
Deal with what's in front of you.
Can you give us a quick recap of just some more promotions that you've worked for? So Ring of Honor obviously was a big accomplishment, working in MCW.
I've
But
worked,
where else?
I've worked for Evolve Wrestling. I've worked for CZW before, Combat Zone Wrestling, Coastal Championship Wrestling, MCW, Beyond Wrestling. I wrestle in Peru for GLL, Generation Lucha Libre. I wrestle in Mexico.
Talk a little bit about that real quick.
Yeah,
The Peruvian.
talk about
The
that.
Peruvian Generation X. How can people find it? What can they expect?
Your
give us-
role in putting it
Yeah,
and bringing
okay.
it to the people. Yeah.
Talk about
That's
it.
big.
So like this promotion GLL runs shows in Peru. Was hit by the pandemic, like because of the pandemic they couldn't have any shows. Nothing, everything's closed in Peru right now. So the promoter asked me if there was a possibility that I could run like a taping in here, like bring my own guys and like run a taping for GLL, and I was like, sure, we can do it. So I was able to find a place to do it, a ring. It was a sponsor. Everything was paid for by the promoter, but I was the one in charge of like I was like the director basically.
Yeah.
I was the director. I was.
Yep.
I had somebody else help me book it. Actually, one of the trainees, Damon or Sakar Shaw, he was the one that helped me book it because he has a background in script writing. So he helped me book all the stories and stuff like that. And I was able. I contact all the guys that I wanted to put on the show. And we recorded everything in one day. It was
a
like
very
12
long
weeks,
day. It was
12 weeks worth of
33
episodes.
matches.
It was, I wrestled 5
Rosaria
matches.
and I were the ring announcers. Yeah, it was a very long day.
Okay,
Yeah.
I remember, yeah.
It was great. And you know what? It was perfect timing, too, because this was after we'd all been, like, dormant for almost a year
Like
at this
cicadas.
point.
Yeah.
And it was like, wait, there's something we can
There's a
do?
little
Really?
light.
And it was just, it was a really long day. There was a lot going
I
on. The
was
building
so
had
stressed.
no heat, so it was
It was
really, really cold.
Like
But
cicadas.
we were all just, I feel like we were just kind of glad to be there, you know? And like, just because it was the first thing any of us had really done in a year.
And like this was my first time being in charge of a whole show, so it was it gave me a different perspective about things, you know, because like usually when you're just a wrestler, you're just a wrestler, but when you get into the other scenes, the other parts of wrestling, such as the booking or the cameras. So you learn how to do all these things, the editing. Like John Rollins helped me with editing the show as well. So like doing all these things, like you learn how to work the TV basically. You learn about the cameras, you learn about the booking. So
Right.
it just makes the experience even better. Like,
So now, Rayo, as the director, were you in charge of bringing the talent?
Yes.
You mentioned Tara was involved.
Yeah.
So you booked everyone that appeared on this international program for
yeah, I brought
Yeah.
everyone. It was
And
must have
not
lost
only
my
that, he
number.
wrestled on the show.
I wrestled the
He
show
wrestled
5
and
times.
He had a
Oh,
title
lot of
match
times the booker has
multiple
to, you know,
times.
the director has to
Yeah.
do that.
I was,
Yeah, you
uh,
got to be the announcer.
You can
or
ask
something.
Tara. I was like a monster. I was like everywhere. I was
Yeah,
stress.
you were sitting up there in that little loft
1,
behind the
2,
camera.
3, come
Right.
on, guys.
Yeah, no, it was a lot
Ring
of
the
fun, you know.
bell.
It was. I was really thankful and grateful that you asked me to be a part of it, and I really, it was
Yeah.
just cool to be around people doing something. Like, none of us, obviously we hadn't watched the product because it was new, so what you were bringing to it, but it was just cool to be a part of something,
Right.
anything at this
Work
point.
that
you know what I
creative
mean?
muscle. Yeah.
Yeah, and you worked your ass off that day.
What? How do you know in Peru? Like the Peruvian, like Puerto Rico, they want blood and guts, baby. That's how they like it. Memphis, they're wild. They want some silly, like you slap my grandma, and I'm coming after you. There's different style.
Yeah.
In California, they want that wild,
The Wild Wild West.
Wild Wild West. How do you know what they want in Peru?
So Peru is still like a testing spot, like I've only wrestled there once, and also like the audience is not really accustomed to wrestling. So like for most of them, like the only thing that they know is WWE. So the wrestling style that they like in Peru is basically WWE.
They like the promo.
They like
set
the
up
promos,
match.
the setup
like
of the match.
Well,
The-
down.
Like
entrance,
you gotta
yeah.
be a superstar.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, the backstage thing. Okay, but you were incredibly intelligent for being able to see the landscape. And remember though too, they don't know what you don't tell them. So even if they like that and you want to switch up a little bit, you have that elbow room because they haven't had it yet,
Exactly.
right?
And that's something that I think is very important for every single wrestler, that don't just get in there just to like learn how to wrestle, like learn about all these things, learn about all these parts of wrestling, because overall, if you have the whole picture, it's so much easier for you to learn how to get yourself over.
Yeah, it was actually one of the things that was really cool about doing a whole entire day of tapings was that it was like 33 matches. It was all written out, and you could see where the episodes were going, which is not something that most of the time we have the benefit of knowing. We normally tape one show in a day,
Right.
and then we come back next month and we tape the next,
Right.
the next episode. And so doing a whole day thing like that was actually a really neat experience because
Binge
you could
taping.
see how everything flowed and how one match led up to the next match, and this promo, went with this one. So it was really neat.
Good stuff, Rayo.
And Rayo, you know what? We've gone over so many things: your journey, your beginnings, your ends, the advice. Correct me if I'm wrong, but on the last episode of Breakthrough, or was it the first episode, we saw you defend, what is it, the International Open?
International Open
Open
Challenge heavyweight champion.
International Open Challenge World Championship,
Championship.
also known
World, boy.
also known as the IOCW
IOCW.
Championship.
And we're going to talk about
Sure.
that when we come back. We
That's
do have
right.
to take a quick break, and
All
we'll be
right.
back to hear about that title championship defense.
Forgive me, I won't get it wrong again.
It's all good. It's
hard.
all good.
Show your support for the MCW Cast while sporting some great gear by going to teespring.com/stores/MCWcast. You can pick up a full line of official MCW Cast merchandise, from coffee mugs and face coverings to t-shirts and sweatshirts. Visit teespring.com/stores/MCWcast. Fuel the MCW Cast by visiting buymeacoffee.com/MCWcast. And for just $3, you can buy the cast a coffee. Or you can choose to become a member of the cast for just $5 a month and get several additional perks. That's buymeacoffee.com/MCWcast.
Welcome back to the one, the only, the legendary MCW Cast, episode 25. And we are here with the one, the only Peruvian sensation, the IOCW International Open Challenge World Champion.
World.
And a pretty just damn good human being, smart guy for the business, young guy. Rayo.
You know, I want to say something that you just said there for a second, Larry. You said world. A lot of times when we're talking about indie shows, there's a lot of world title defenses
Right.
going on.
But
You
gotta
know,
leave Delaware to have a world. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like New Hampshire is not the world.
West Virginia has one. I
Yeah.
remember working Mickey up there,
Yeah.
and it was like the West Virginia Women's World Championship, and we were like, "What is this?"
Well, one day they'll get around.
But
that.
I
Right.
want to say the reason why I bring it up is because we joke about it because that's just a thing. Like it's so stupid because you know that you're not defending it around the world. However, you are actually defending this title around the world. So tell us a little bit about that.
All right, so like the title originated with this company called Planeta Wrestling, which is from
Say
Spain.
that one more time.
Planet Wrestling.
Planeta Wrestling.
Okay.
It's from Spain. So originally the title was supposed to debut over there, but because of the pandemic, it was brought here to the United States. It's not only like sponsored by them, but it's also sponsored by big wrestling pages such as Lucha Libre Online, which is the biggest in Spanish-speaking countries, Mas Lucha, which is huge in Mexico, and Action Wrestling, which is huge in Costa Rica. So this four companies sponsor this title. And the way that they create, like their vision about this title is to bring it to every single indie around the world,
Wow.
not only in the United States, but around the world, because the purpose is to unite all the independent wrestling.
You might have the first actual world championship.
Right. Legitimately.
Legitimate world championship.
On an episode of Breakthrough, which is the MCW episodic TV show, you had your first challenge at least to the best of my knowledge in MCW.
Yeah, the first
from the Ace, as he calls himself, Lord Diaz, and it was a hell of a match. It really was.
Yeah, it was. I loved that match. Like that was one of my favorite matches, and the reason why is because I feel that Diaz, he's never been like put in a position where he can be seen like worldwide. You know, he's never been in that position, and sometimes like talking about this with him, working with him was very special because I was able to see another side of him. Like I remember talking to him specifically, and I was like, I need to know what you are all about. What is Diaz all about? What are the things that are real to you? And then he explained to me the grievances that he had, the struggles that he had, the things that he wants to accomplish, not only in MCW but in professional wrestling. So I use that as the theme of this match.
So that's so you, because I remember I was as a commentator for the show. You came up to me and you said, "What's the deal? What's the deal with the title?" And tell me a little bit about your opponent, your thoughts on your opponent. And you said this, Lord Diaz, Steve Diaz, as he's known in the world, is a guy who never got the ball yet, and never had that real opportunity to show that he's got the goods.
And in real life, he actually feels like that.
Sure, absolutely, you would, right? And
Who wouldn't?
we know here in studio like that Diaz is a very valuable player, but in his mind, he needs to show it in that ring.
Exactly.
Because as a wrestler and as a performer, you got unfinished business until you have either that great match or the series or that great run or that contract or whatever. Everybody has their goals, their mini goals and their long-term goals. And I think you provided him with a great opportunity, and Homeboy took full advantage.
And like the thing that I feel that it was like the reason why I feel it was so special is because we talked about this, and like I said, he was able to tell me exactly how he felt, and in the ring, I was very grateful, or I was very happy that he was able to express it. He was able to express it in the ring, and to me, that was amazing.
You're an interesting cat because you're sitting here as the opposition, but you're building up and you're giving support to your opposition because you know that
in order for you to have the best matches,
Right.
the other person has to be on the top of his game as well.
And it's not just you hitting your 10 spots in a row, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like you're working with each other. It's a dance, you know, and if you're not dancing with each other, it's just going to be crap.
what's the emotion? It's
Yeah.
the emotion, right? You can hit the coolest Falcon arrow and there's a girl, and I don't give a crap, right?
Right.
But or you can hit, Scott Hall can take the toothpick and do that, and the place comes unglued. What's the difference? Emotion, the familiarity, the reasons for doing it, and the connection to the people as a performer and a person, right?
Yeah, and it's actually kind of funny that I actually talk about this now, because before I used to be exactly what you talk about. I used to be one of those guys that just wanted to get the spot in, and especially when I was teaming up with Brewster, which is something that I regret, because like when we were
used to
teaming
say
up
that.
together, I just wanted to get my spots in
Yes.
there, and like Brewster used to get so
slow down.
But he
would
knew you'd grow
Yes.
out of it.
He did. He definitely believed in you. It's a chance for him to do something that he hadn't normally done by teaming with you, and it was fun for him. It made it fun.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like when he said slow down, at the time I used to think, oh, I just have to do my spot slow. but eventually, like I came to realize, like after like getting beat up, so like broke my nose, chipped my tooth, after like bad experiences, I actually learned that you have to slow down right here.
Right. That's where it is. So now that breakthrough match that we were just talking about with Diaz, that was in front of a very, very small crowd. I don't even know if you would, necessarily say it's a crowd.
There are no small crowds, only small
well,
wrestlers.
okay. So this was inside. This was a closed arena taping.
People
But
is people.
yeah, it is people or people.
right.
But what about doing that match, a rematch even, in front of our regular MCW crowd? Now that we're getting shows back running again, coming up in a few weeks, we got our first one back. Like, do you have plans in the future to defend that title here at, MCW?
I'm open for everything.
Okay.
I'm open for everything. I'm just
Okay.
waiting for the call.
And that would be,
I know the people in the office, so
Well,
maybe
that's
I'll
what I was
put
going to
it
say. The
over.
championship committee's going to have to.
Oh
run
God,
that.
that's me.
Yeah, they're going
The
to have
championship
Can
committee.
you edge
That's
out
me.
Phil Stamper? He's
Well-
just starting things on Facebook. Hey guys, who's the best announcers? Hey guys, who's the best?
But you'll have to send a memo to the Maryland State Athletic Commission to have that title recognized in the state of Maryland.
He says
right?
he's the president of wrestling. I don't remember going to the voting booth and
You
vote
didn't
for
elect him.
Phil freaking Stamper.
Well, the only person who can make a president in wrestling is Colt Cabana, who is the general ambassador of pro wrestling.
Ah.
So
Perhaps.
maybe he did that for Phil.
I another thing about it's smart to have that championship, because you're also guaranteeing that you're gonna have a
lot of views
lot of views
from different places.
This is true. And we've talked about this in a couple of episodes before, that we are starting to see more of these cross-promotional title defenses. But yours is still unique in that it can literally be defended anywhere in the world, and that's the intent. That these four companies wanted it to be. So that is a completely different spin.
And I'm just very grateful also that they have given me this opportunity, because it allows me to step up, It allows me to keep working on my product, and it gives me like a new challenge, just a new challenge,
And these aren't like, when you say these websites names, and I'm sure a lot of American guys we're like, oh, I don't know that. But these are huge in those countries. In Costa Rica, these are the number one, like,
for the Spanish-speaking
for the
people.
Spanish-speaking people, they go for their wrestling dirt or wrestling news, or so-and-so got hired, so-and-so got fired, this big match at this, that's where they go.
Mm-hmm.
So these guys came together, the owners of the website. Why can't I think of the name of people who run websites? Help me, guys. I'm telling you. Webmasters. These webmasters came together and they said, we need to get a representative. And how did they come to your doorstep, or did you go to theirs?
I started like a working relationship with Lucha Libre online, because I reached out to them at first. So we did an interview, and Lucha Libre Online is the biggest place for Spanish speaking. It's run by Hugo Sabinovich, who's the former WWE commentator for Spanish.
Hugo's huge,
We know Hugo.
So I had a podcast interview with them, and I got along with the person, the interviewer. And from there, they gave me other opportunities to work with other people and do the same thing, do interviews. And I just got along with people. And all of a sudden, they just called me and like, hey, I feel that you are the best option. Can you help us with this?
Yeah, you essentially became the plug.
So I was like,
in some terms, you're the plug, like,
for real. He moves around. He knows that's the connections.
Right.
But it's if there's anything, if any young upstarts in pro wrestling, or any students are listening, there's some valuable lessons here that Rayo is trying to nail home, and he's doing so with the subtle brilliance. But like, you need to show up. Showing up is half the battle. It's three things in this business. It's hard work, talent, timing. You can't control the timing, but you can control showing up, correct?
I feel that like networking, in other words, networking is like the most valuable thing. And when I say networking, I'm not talking about just coming up to people and just shaking hands and
Right.
like actually talking to them, like getting to know them. Like the reason why a lot of us like don't really talk to each other or like are kind of awkward around each other is because we don't
like
know
each other.
Right.
Or we
I'm
don't
just
know.
kidding.
Either we don't like each other, we just don't know
we don't know
enough.
each other. Yeah.
We don't understand each other. We don't know much about each other. So
Yeah.
like I feel that just having like a connection with just having a conversation with somebody and getting to know that person, not only putting yourself over, but like getting to know that person.
Right.
It helps, It helps.
Well,
does.
we talked at the beginning of the episode to carry on from last week about that kind of cutthroat nature that the business often has a side of, where, well, if you're getting a push, then that means I'm not getting a push. And
Yeah.
so, there can be that kind of backstabbiness and, you don't want to see someone else succeed. But, when you meet somebody like yourself who is beyond that and not looking at it that way, that's refreshing,
Expand your consciousness.
There you
Expand your
go.
consciousness.
It's also like you don't want people to like. I ain't letting you know too much about me. You're gonna use it against me, bro.
Uh-huh.
And you are. Rayo is somebody who I can't tell you how many shows we'd be, in the locker room, and I'm putting on whatever my little silly boy shoes, and you just come and sit and just and have a conversation and run through. I guess I convinced you that I had a talent for guys with their characters, helping guys with their characters. You bought into that because I'm a big fraud. But and we all are. We're all just big frauds. But no, I'm just kidding. So, but I do have I have a lot of experience that way. And you would always come to me, and we developed a rapport over that. Should I try this? Should I try that? And I, early on said, look, man, like, can I be honest with you? Like, I don't want to be this, not like if it's stupid and it's awful, I got to tell you. And there was a few of them we ran through, right?
Yeah.
That weren't, but you're right. In developing that rapport, a lot of people ask when they go up to WWE, what do I do? What do I do? Develop a rapport with as many people as you can. I'm talking find something in common that is not just wrestling. Talk about the kids, talk about the dogs, talk about whatever. Me and Arn Anderson both got the same gimmick claw. Talk about it all the time. That's right. Am I wrong? Is that
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yep.
Like networking, like, but in a genuine way, not like not just like trying to
get
do it
over.
just because.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
because they can smell that a mile away.
Like a lot of times I know I've done this before, because before when I was younger, I know that I just try to like be nice to somebody just so I can get a spot. I've done that before, so I understand how it works. I understand how the wrestling business works.
So, in understanding how the wrestling business works, coming out of a, we're going to say, tough time for the entire world, where everything was on pause, what are your short-term goals, Rayo? What are Rayo's goals for this year? And a year from now, what does Rayo see Rayo being?
So like right now, what do I have in front of me right now? I have the IOCW Championship. I have a few other projects going on like GLL and a couple of other things. So my number one thing right now is do the best I can with what I have in right now. I don't think too much about the future, because like sometimes like I feel like I can't control what happens in the future, so I can only control what's in front of me right now. But if I was to say, what I would like in the future, I want to be working for the WWE.
That's the place. That's where you want to be. Now, in a landscape where we have AEW, we have Ring of Honor, we have Impact Wrestling, we have MLW, NWA, VKM, New York City, NYC, WWE, that's where you want to be.
Right.
Has WWE ever had a Peruvian superstar before?
Never.
And that's why you want it, right?
Never.
Perfect. Well, now, how close are you to get that goal?
So I recently just did a WWE tryout.
Shut
Like,
up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like 3 weeks ago, I had a WWE tryout.
Wow.
So
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so like a lot of people are going to wonder, what does that mean? Like, you did a tryout. What does that mean? A lot of people, in their minds, it's what you show up and there's a black screen and they have like a young Mean Gene or a guy in a bald cap going, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, that was a hell of a match, you know, body slam them out. It's nothing like that.
No, it's
No,
nothing like
they
that.
blow you up, break you down, and
It's very physically and mentally demanding.
So they invited you,
They
right?
invited me for a trial in Orlando.
you send them a package. What was on that package?
I send in my promos, I send in my matches, my promo pictures, description about who I am and what I'm all about.
What match did you send?
The match that I sent, I think it was one of my matches with Dante, because I always like my matches
Yeah.
with Dante have
Crisp.
been my best match.
Okay. Cool. And so you got who gave you the call
It was what is
or the email?
it was I can't remember the lady's name, but
Kristen?
it was some lady. It was
Kathy?
I can't remember her name right now.
Maybe it was Cameron Seaman.
Canyon Seaman?
No,
Canyon,
I
that's
talked
it.
to him before. So like it's funny
That's it,
because
yeah.
He said,
years ago I tried to I got his email and I messaged him over and over again,
Uh-huh.
just like I did with Ring of Honor, and like he told me at the time, oh, you're ready, you're not ready, blah blah blah. So I kept sending over and over, and then I did the WWE website recruit thing. So then like I was given a tryout early last year. I was supposed to do the tryout last year, like the same week that they shut down everything. I was in Orlando. I was in Orlando getting ready for my tryout, and the first day of the tryout, they sent us back home.
Oh,
So,
wow.
They-
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, so
I-
so close, and then you basically had to press pause for a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
The entire kibosh was put on the thing.
Mm.
So now it's amazing that 3 weeks ago, I finally had to do my trial that was postponed like a year ago. So
Wow. So tell us about the tryout. How'd it go?
I went pretty well. Like
Yeah?
I had so much fun. Like I could tell that a lot of people were a little bit nervous, but I went there with the mentality that like a lot of people go there, oh, I need to get that job. This is my one opportunity.
Right, right.
I gotta make it. But for me, it was more like, okay, I'm here with the best coaches in the world for wrestling, and of course I want to get a job. But the main thing that I want to do is learn as much as I can from this, like because I know that you can't really find the perfect person. You can only find the perfect person that you can like train, you can develop,
coachable.
like
Right.
somebody who's coachable. So I went there to with the mentality that this is just another wrestling training day. I'm training today, and I did my promos, and I felt very comfortable with my promos. I felt that I did really good, and I'm very proud of my performance overall. I'm very happy with my
good.
performance.
See, I could tell you for like I I was one of the guys as when in FCW as Dusty's, I like to call it Junior Booker, but it was assistant. It's Junior Booker. We're gonna go old school, and
Junior.
Larry's like coffee getter. So hey, everybody gets coffee at some point for somebody.
No, I was thinking of Naylor. You know, that's every time you
Oh.
bring that up, I bring up because that's who I was a little. I mean, like
I was
knew you.
I was the
You were
original.
before Naylor.
I was the
but-
original.
Yeah.
I was with Dusty because I was, friends with the family. So I got the notebooks. Like, it was weird for me because I got the notebooks with all the reports, and I helped write the reports. And these people are my friends. But now it's like they even had to have the talk with me about being one of the boys in the office. And I said, yeah, blow it out, whatever. So I didn't listen to them at all on that. But there were guys that would show up, and they bring in 20 guys for these tryouts. Okay, we're going to sign 3 of these big monsters because we hope one of them has decent knees, and Vince loves his Monster Factory, so let's get one of them. Who else? This guy could do some good stuff, but it's too indie. Didn't have a good attitude. He thinks he knows. He wouldn't listen. Not coachable. What about this guy? You know what? He had a good attitude. He was fun. Yeah, why not? Let's give him a shot. And that's it. It happens just like that. And what you're saying, what I'm hearing, is the type of person you literally have to. They're thinking, do I want to be around this person 6 days a week for 8 hours a day? And if you have a great attitude, I think you might be all right. Who knows?
Can I ask you, just knowing, your time with Leo and Ken Dixon and a couple other folks, how much did you know? How much knowledge did you have before going into the tryout? Like, what pretty much the day was going to be like? Like, did you have any kind of like?
I did. Just because what's it called? DJ High hooked me up with Drew Gulak. So like I talked to Drew Gulak prior to the tryout, and he helped me with what do I have to do with the promo? What do I have to do with like how the trial is gonna be? So I already had an idea of what was gonna happen.
So you did your homework. You were
I
prepared.
did my homework. I was prepared.
Is it still like, because I remember it was the guys would come with their promo and they've had it for weeks. You could tell they've been sitting in the mirror and had it for weeks. And we'd say, "Stop, who are you? Do that." And then they do one maybe as a babyface, and you say, "All right, switch it up, heel." Do they still do that? Is it still like thinking on your feet?
So like there was 2 promos. The first promo was that they just give you a minute to just show who you are, and then there was another promo that like they pair you up with somebody and you guys choose who's the face and who's the heel, and they basically put you against each other, and the heel starts the promo and then the babyface starts the promo. So that was on the fly.
Interesting.
That was on the fly.
That's good. That's good. So they see how your improv chops
exactly. So there was you got to do it on the fly, and now you got to do it like something that you already had planned.
A lot of let me tell you something. When push comes to shove, and the smoke clears, a lot of talk about probably sleeping in the back of my car, eating ramen noodles.
Yeah, there was a lot of that.
Like enough.
Yeah,
So you had to give them something different, right?
Yeah, you have to like. They want to see like. I don't think like they don't want to see who you are not. They want to see who you are. Like they want to know who you are inside. Like they want to know your personality. They want to get into your brain.
And the best way to give that to them is just to be genuine, and
Yep.
that's why you think of guys like Sammy Callahan,
Yeah.
Rush, what their promos probably how they stood out from
Sure.
the lot of all of their tryout. John Moxley, another one.
How can we make money with this guy? Does he
Indeed.
have anything in him that we can put a saddle on and put on freaking 7-Eleven Slurpee cups and make money? That's it, dude.
Well,
Yeah.
he's ethnic.
Yeah.
He's
Peruvian.
There you go.
And they're tapping into a
That's
Latin
unique.
audience. I
Yep.
would ride that home until seriously, they're desperate for it, and pitch it to them, because just because they got the job title don't mean they're the brightest.
That's right, Brent. And you know something? One other thing. I'm sorry, Tara.
No, it's all
that you kind of has been a narrative with every opportunity that you've gotten is the persistence.
Boom.
You kept texting Todd Sinclair over and over and over and over to find out about it. And so on and so forth. You have to stay on these people, and they will not forget you. So the persistence is a huge part of the ladder to success.
Absolutely right. Let's say, because they eventually will have to say, I'll give him an opportunity, because if he screws up, I'll be done with him.
Right.
But if he does great, I can take credit for it.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, when we come back, we've got we want to talk about some other things going on in the wrestling world. So we hope you'll stay with us, Rayo. And also, we've got some fans who want to know a little bit more about you. So stay with us.
You don't have to go behind the table again. Yeah.
Man, that was my plan.
We hope you're enjoying this week's episode of the MCW Cast. At MCW Pro Wrestling, much like many small businesses throughout the country, the pandemic has presented many challenges. For a company like ours that hosts events with live audiences, the impact has been even more severe, and all of our forms of revenue have been cut off. In order to continue to engage with our fans on a regular basis, we made the decision to begin to produce the MCW Cast, and are providing it for absolutely no cost on Facebook Live, Twitch, YouTube, and SoundCloud. If you'd like to support us during these challenging times, you can do so in several ways. The most popular way is to buy us a coffee to help fuel the cast. Just go to buymeacoffee.com/MCWcast, and for just $3, you can buy the cast a coffee, or you can choose to become a member of the cast for just $5 a month and receive several special perks. That's buymeacoffee.com/MCWcast. You can also contribute directly on Cash App, MCW Wrestling, or on Venmo, MCW-Wrestling. You can also show your support for the MCW Cast while sporting some great gear by going to teespring.com/stores/MCWcast to pick up a full line of official MCW Cast merchandise, from coffee mugs and face coverings to t-shirts and sweatshirts. Also, don't forget to comment in the threads on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch to get your questions answered on a future episode. And you can also send us a tweet using the hashtag AskMCWCast. Thank you for your support, and now, back to the show.
And welcome back to the MCW Cast.
We're back.
How are some of the, we appreciate you guys watching. We want you to click subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, what are some of the other platforms which we can be viewed at if you aren't viewing us on them right now?
Twitch and Facebook and YouTube, of course. And if you're just listening and not seeing our beautiful faces, you can listen on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Radio Public, and Castbox.
And big news coming out of the MCW office, the MCW Brass, July the 24th. July the 24th.
July.
That's right.
Our first show back. And
Resurrection.
It is called, Resurrection. How
Just like our old
appropriate.
first show back.
Yes, we have
Resurrection.
resurrected more than once. All right.
It would imply that we died, but we didn't die.
We've died and come
This
back
time
quite a
was
few
no-
times. We got like 9 lives.
Previous resurrections have been of our own doing. This one was globally imposed, so
This was like
not
Easter. The
what
Easter
what we
resurrection.
chose.
So as excited as the MCW faithful is to come and see live wrestling again, to see the likes of our superstar like Rayo, we are equally as excited to have a full house once again. Because, I mean, like, think about it, Rayo, and even as a ring announcer, the energy, like, it makes you feel like, what are we doing?
Right,
When there's
Yeah.
no people there.
Right.
How do you know what's working?
right.
How do you know how they feel about you? Where you stand on the totem pole
Yeah,
without
it's-
the people?
It's hard to do it without a crowd. You know, like we need the crowd.
Mhm.
Without the crowd, like
It becomes something else.
it becomes something else.
Well, from a ring announcer standpoint, I know that there's some parts of acting that are called like sense memory, where like if I go down the rampway at the MCW arena, I remember what it felt like on a Shamrock Cup, and I remember like waving to the people at a Shamrock Cup. So I might not do that as robustly as if they were actually there, but it's almost like the sense memory of the genuine way that Larry was walking to a packed house for a Shamrock Cup, wanting to wave to Greg Papalukas. Oh, the good doctor's over there.
Right.
The faithful. There's something to be said about just going with that and remembering the way that it used to feel, so that it would translate across as genuinely. And I'm speaking from experience because I blessedly was able to do a lot of shows during the global gimmick because they were all outdoor shows, which the deathmatch style of wrestling kind of lends itself to. But I did have a couple productions that I did that were closed set events. And those events sometimes would start with like, all right, and then Larry, you come out. So like there's not a soul in the building,
Right.
but damned if I wasn't like, hey everybody, like that,
Right,
like
right.
we're about to get this show started and I'm going on down the ring.
Because you're
Right.
working for TV too, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. But
Right.
the way that you can pull that off genuinely is just to do that technique of sense memory of like, oh, I remember how it was
Right.
like so hot in here, and it was like, oh, and then I saw that guy. That guy was, so
Yeah, and you're
Yeah.
right. Like you just get in this force of habit. Like I know, for myself, like I would, you're always talking to the person in the back of the arena. You know,
Right.
so you're projecting out. So when I would go out, I get a little nervous sometimes.
Sure, who doesn't?
And the lights are on, and I would see the people in the front row. Didn't make any eye contact at all with
Right.
people in rows 2 through 20. But then I was looking at that person in the very back, and and I used to do drama club and stuff in high school and
Yeah.
middle school and all, and it was that same kind of thing. You'd go out there
The
and you could
vaudeville
see,
style.
you could see the people immediately in
Little
front
burlesque.
of you, and then you could look out to the people all the way out. So like you do just kind of still do that, whether there's 10 people in there or 0 people or 100 people. You still kind of
It's ingrained.
yeah, it is completely ingrained in you.
It's
to
so
do it that
strange,
way.
right? Because with television now, it seems like there's a lot more room for wrestling to become subtle, right? They can get the close up, homeboy getting his face dragged on the rope and doesn't have to, sell
Right,
all
right.
big,
Yeah, yeah.
just, but it's one of those things with wrestling that it walks that line.
Yeah.
What is it? What are we doing? Like, are we still? No, we're not still doing to the live audiences, so to speak. Not since we've been ingrained. It's been
Yeah.
really like
to the
TV.
cameras.
TV is the thing. The cameras.
The
And you run into a lot of people who don't know how to work TV. You were blessed because you caught on early. You were blessed because you caught on early with the hard camera. How many people just don't know and don't even get with the production crew like, hey
Right.
man, on this thing, I'd like you to catch this drama in this moment, and they just kind of expect it to.
Yeah, or and they don't even make an effort to find out like where the hard cam is or something like that. So they're putting a rest hold on each other, and
There's
they're
no such
facing
thing
the
as a rest
wall,
hold.
but and it's just that kind of thing. I will say I worked a show not long ago that had 2 hard cams. That was a new thing.
No, that's not that's not a real thing. That's not a real
Well,
thing.
it was.
Oh, one from, like,
I went
the
out.
front
No,
to back?
no, one was here and one was here, and I was like, well, all right. So
No,
I
it's
just
like the
kind of
Highlander, there can only be one.
positioned myself like in the corner, so I was looking out this way at both of them. I was like, well, that's a new one. Okay,
Okay,
know,
that was
I don't
probably
know,
for like
but
a hard cam and a custom cam. I
they
bet
were
you,
both
for
on
somebody.
tripods.
Okay.
That's and there was a floor cam. I know it was,
Weird.
but it's that presence of mind to like know where you are at all times and how to work to whether it's like you said an empty arena, a full arena, a packed
Yeah.
crowd, a TV crowd,
TV
or a
crowd,
live
yeah.
crowd. It's being adaptable and knowing how to do that.
And that's why I feel that it's important for wrestlers to not just only learn about the wrestling part, but also learn, like I said before, learn about the other parts.
Yeah.
Like me editing the shows for Generation Wrestling has helped me learn about the cameras more. So now it's
course.
easier for me when I wrestle, when I work shows, it's easier for me to like do the kick out and then look at the camera to show my expressions.
Yes.
Or like,
Because you're aware of the camera.
yeah,
you
now
know
I'm
that
more
one
aware.
exists.
Before I
yeah.
wasn't as much, but
yeah,
like
you were aware of it on one end of the spectrum.
one exactly.
And
But
there's-
I think all people who are wrestlers should be a referee at least,
Yep.
for a stretch of time because
Yep.
that ring placement and awareness and
From the
presence.
horseshoe,
It
you
was
got
part
You
of-
can't get that anywhere else.
It was part of the
Exactly.
curriculum. There was
It
several
was.
times
We did it.
Chad used to be like, Larry, you're the ref. And I'm
Absolutely.
like, I am?
I'd be down there, the only girl at Bone Breakers. Tara, you can ref. I would ask them, can I? And they're like,
Right.
you want to? And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
of course I want to. Like, because it's only going to make what I then get to do, better.
Yeah.
Now
I
you know
mean-
how to use the ref.
Right.
And like shout out to John Rollins, the second one. Like his with the editing to learn how to do leave things that you think are so important and you love them on that cutting room floor. That's art, man. You got to be able to kill your favorite thing and leave it. That's art. And put it
Yeah.
together. It does. It gives you a different side on it, man.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the
You can make like an average match with this editing stuff. You can make an average match
Look like-
seem like a main event, man.
Exactly.
And there's that thing too of the weird thing in TV where it's like the register, that period of registering. So something happens in the ring, but it hasn't happened yet to the people that are way back there or on TV yet. So if you're up on the second rope yelling at a guy walking down the aisle, the camera still hasn't cut to the guy in the aisle yet. So it has to cut, so they have to see the guy in the aisle. Then they have to come back to you, and you have to still be up there. You can't be over on the other side just because that's what feels natural.
Mhm.
How
Yeah.
long are you going to... It's a weird game, and that's what separates the good from the great. The guys that know how to work that TV style and that don't. And guess what? If you don't, it gets exposed
That's right.
pretty damn
Yeah.
quick.
I tried. That's another podcast episode.
So now we've got that live show with a full crowd coming up on the 24th. First and second row, I believe, are already sold out.
Sold out. Get 'em while they're hot.
Absolutely.
People are ready.
This will be a sellout show. People are hungry. But we've got one more breakthrough show that's going to air on July 7th. So this week,
Oh,
we have
awesome.
episode
Cool.
3 of Breakthrough is airing, and that'll kind of catch everybody up to speed on what to expect when we make the big return July 27th. So.
I don't know about the rest of you. but
24th.
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 24.
That's just
yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
about the rest of you, but I really have been enjoying the breakthrough episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, they're pretty great. Like the episode 2 started off with a match with Eric Martin and Dante Caballero,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a great match. It was a great match. Even sometimes when you call it, you don't even really register as it's happening, but afterwards, like watching it, it was a hell of a match, and
Yeah.
to think of the amount of talent. Number one, MCW has a great rep, right? Been around forever. You're gonna get something quality when you come here. And where you were coming from, you knew coming through these doors, it was going to be different. It was going to be, you'd have to step up your game, correct?
Yeah, like the first live event that I went to for MCW, it was like at Michael's 8th Avenue. Ric Flair was
Oh,
there.
yeah.
It was like over 2,000 people in an indie show.
Yeah.
Before that was accustomed to just like 10 people. I was like,
Right.
And you
wow.
walk-
It's a big difference.
You walk
yeah.
out and you go, oh, this is what it's supposed to be,
Right.
right?
This is where I want to be.
Right.
Right. And so like they a lot, it's interesting too, because MCW also, you look around here and you look around in the arena, they're going to make you look good. If you come here to perform, everybody wants to come here to perform. What's his name from AAA? Sam Adonis, I believe.
Oh yeah, AAA's Sam Adonis.
He wanted to come here to perform because
Mhm.
you're going to look good coming out of that stage and that ramp with that visual.
And it has evolved so much, because when I first came in, it was like a different setup. Now we have a screen in there.
Yeah,
we
we
have
got
the
LED
blue
lights.
Yes, indeed, we do. Well, notwithstanding the matches that a lot of which you and I were there for, I am really enjoying some of those backstage segments with the winner's
Greg?
circle, the
Oh.
Weinberg bit, and the
I
Phil
love
Stamper. the
Robbie's
President
segment was
Day.
my favorite. Robbie, when he was like, "Hey, hey, hey," he was
Yeah.
showing people, he was showing the students how to do it.
Yeah.
Hey,
I have so much fun doing the backstage stuff. Like I think it's fantastic.
What
you know,
attracted
it's
me to it?
it's-
Yeah.
You know?
it's so much fun, and it's something
Mhm.
that I didn't know that I would ever be doing, like writing and putting promos together and stuff, and doing that, and it there's so many different things.
Mhm.
I tell every training class that comes through the doors, like, if you don't make it as a wrestler, find something else here, and we will keep
Get
you
in where you
here.
fit
Like,
in,
right,
yeah. I
right.
like it.
Figure it
Not
out.
everybody's going to be successful. Like, most of you aren't. Like,
No. there's-
wrestling was not my thing. I was not great at that, but I could talk and I could do other things.
And you can run.
so,
You can
you
run
know,
a shop. Yeah,
so-
you're a terrifying woman.
but like, we all have different things that we
Right.
add to it. You know what I mean? And that's like you're talking about being a whole package. That's what makes someone have longevity in this field, and that's what lets people remember. You.
also feel that it has to do a lot more with direction.
Mhm.
Like, for example, let's imagine that we have a car, okay, and it's on full tank, but you don't know where you're going. So what's gonna happen eventually? Like, the car's gonna run out of gas. But what if you put the gas and then you know exactly where you want to be? I want to go home. So then you just go there. So that's something else that I'm talking. Let's say that the gas represents your energy or your passion for wrestling.
Mhm.
So I feel that, like, the problem that a lot of people have and why they don't make it is because they don't know where they're going.
Yeah, they have.
That's
They
true.
they have no mission, no goal in mind. It's just, I'm gonna show up and do. Like, what?
Yeah.
You know what question I hate the most? The most is when a guy comes up and goes, "What do I got to do to make it?" What do you got to do to
Right.
make it, bro?
I want to laugh at the.
Are you kidding me? What do you got to do to make it?
Yeah.
Like, but where do we start? Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? But it's such like a lazy question and a lazy mentality. What do I got to do to make it? A lot more than what you're doing,
Mhm.
right? Like, and the game plan, it never ends up how you think it's gonna end up. It never does. But everybody has their own path. Everybody does, And now that you've gone to the WWE tryout, I'm curious. With what happened there. I know you can't probably talk about too much.
Can't
It's kind of a top
divulge.
secret. And you want to be smart because you don't want to say too much. And then you never know. Maybe Scotty Too Hottie listens to this, and he's like, "Oh, that
He's
little
been a-
jabroni's talking about us."
He's been a lifelong employee. I gotta tell you, man, I
Scotty
brought
knows
that
what-
up. I brought
Scotty's
that
know-
up.
he knows
yeah.
where the bodies are. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So don't nod. You don't nod at that. He's like, yeah. But I was curious what the feedback was. What was how did they feel about Rayo? Did they say, "Hey man, this is what you need to work on," or "Hey man, this is what you're doing great"? What any kind of feedback?
Well, there's two things that I know from there. First thing is that they don't give you any feedback.
Ah,
They do not give you any to nobody. They didn't give anybody any feedback because
So you knew you were gonna be on the cast.
because they're still testing you even after the
Yeah.
tryout.
Mm.
They're still looking at you like the trial is not done.
no.
They're checking our social medias probably. They're
They're
checking
checking everything.
everything that we're
Probably, they
doing.
definitely are.
So like
They have a stooge in the tryout as one of y'all. I mean, I know this for a fact.
Mhm.
That's
Just
how
like-
they do it.
It's just like the Price is Right audience.
Dude, they get you. It's they have, and they want to see because they'll have that stooge, stir it up and be like,
Oh yeah.
God, A-Train's a real asshole, or whatever. And they want to see if somebody jumps on it and goes, hey, Coach Bloom, so and so,
Mhm.
So you got to be careful. And that's how it's still cutthroat in that
Yeah.
way. You still got to protect your neck, and there's a way to do it without putting everybody over, but without burying everybody. It just, it's a tough deal because you want to show personality, but you don't want to, overstep your bounds. So this guy's just, you know what I mean? Who's he trying to get over on? So it's, I don't know. And it depends too. Like, did you, when you got down, did you have to room with someone? Did they have that worked out for you? Or?
No, they gave me my own room. They gave me my own car. So I was-
Excellent.
I was
Damn,
very
Okay.
times
Wow.
have
Well,
changed.
I mean, they let go of so many people. That means they obviously got.
But I think it was also
Developmental budget.
Yeah,
it was
you
also
know?
COVID regulations, and also it was a smaller trial. There was only it's usually like 50 people.
Yeah.
There was like 20 people.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Rayo, this has been 100% enthralling, and I think we could keep you in here for a whole nother hour, but we definitely want to talk about some fan questions,
Yeah.
with our coffee club members. They donate to our cause and making sure that we're nice and caffeinated, but also they get the first opportunity to ask questions of the guests that we're going to have on the cast. So, Terry, did we have any questions
We
this
do.
week for
We've
our
got a
guest,
few.
Rayo?
We have a few. One would be, who would be your dream opponent, past or present?
I would say John Cena.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's
And
just
why-
all those
and why is
birthday
that?
parties you worked,
Oh,
isn't it?
It's because like to be honest, I grew up in that era in 2006. That's where I
Absolutely,
started.
yeah.
That's when I started
That
watching
ruthless
wrestling.
aggression.
So then, like, John Cena was my guy back then, or he's the one that inspired me to like wanting to become a pro wrestler. So like, I feel that like that's the thing, John
Yeah.
Cena.
Okay. Well, that was another question further down from someone else that said, who was your childhood wrestling idol and why? So kind of segue into that. Just John Cena, huh?
John Cena and also Daniel Bryan. I would say John Cena got me to like wanting to be know more about the business.
Once you became
But
a
Daniel
performer.
Bryan kind of like got me to like, it kind of inspired me to become a performer just because he main evented WrestleMania just being like a short guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just the
Like a
average, he's the
dragon.
average guy. He,
Right. Well, that's at the beginning. I kind of touched on the idea of this representation and how important it is for, say, the young Peruvians to have a role model to look up and say, "Hey, that guy on TV looks like me."
yeah, not
You
not
know,
only
John Cena does not look like you.
Exactly.
But like he was able to still reach you, and there weren't any role models that looked like you in wrestling
That's why
or
it's
that
important.
sounded like you. It's a huge thing.
Yeah.
It really is, and I can't. I don't know that everybody really necessarily knows that, but pretend you're a young kid in Peru or any other place, and you turn on the TV and you don't see other Peruvians.
Oh, you see,
know?
it's John
or
Cena.
South Americans,
Or South
there's
Americans,
no South
or-
Americans.
right,
There's
okay,
Mexicans,
there's
there's Puerto
Mexicans,
Ricans, there's
sure.
no South Americans.
Right.
I'm pushing my boy Ironside Mike Braddock. He has one leg. You know why? I grew up in pediatric hospitals. Nobody looked like me. Nobody had my story.
Right.
Right. So it's difficult because disabilities, like it has to be believable, right? So it has to be like a dude that's a bad BMF, but like just to that point, it's so important to have that representation because wrestling, they are human superheroes, and we want to connect. We like who we like, but we want to connect with the guys that are like us, like the New Day. It's one of the first black performers, group of black performers that aren't doing a black trope or stereotypical gimmick. You know what I mean? They're not.
Well, I mean-
they're
Yeah.
not the gangsters. They're not the.
Yeah, well-
It may have started out a little churchy, like that was a little. So they made it their own, though.
Well, I mean, they do like to dance.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
that's the kind of their
Okay,
deal.
okay, but you know,
Everybody
like,
likes
you
to
know,
dance.
they got a long way to go.
Everybody likes to
Then they do. It does have a long way to go.
Well,
but
I mean,
I'm not a
like-
black man.
I like to
didn't-
dance,
Right.
and I think that if the New Day were three, Caucasian,
I like pancakes. I mean,
I like to dance too. I just
got
suck at
something
dancing, but-
I got something in common. It isn't dancing.
I love the New Day. I love the energy. It seems genuine.
Yeah,
it seems like
they're
genuine
fun.
joy.
Right.
They are
They
doing
seem like they
something
like
different.
dancing to that song.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
When we had Ghetto Mafia in the studio, we were talking about that kind of African American trope, that,
Yeah.
that ghetto mafia,
Yeah,
like
well,
that.
hey, that's really
look.
up the nose.
And and how that was, kind of almost expected. You know.
Yeah,
what I mean?
well,
And
we
so
got the two
seeing-
black guys. Let's put them
Right.
together, right?
Right,
Um,
exactly. Put a gold chain on them.
Right.
Exactly. So, all right. What is something that you like to do outside of wrestling? We were just talking about the New Day. They play video games. Video games, sports. What do you like to do?
I like to read books.
Okay, what kind of books? All right.
Just like
What's your genre?
I've been reading a lot of like out of the box theories, like very like all the stuff that I talk about expanding your consciousness and
Okay.
reaching the divine state of mind is something that I really got into, and I enjoy reading stuff like that. Like they're like spiritual or things
Okay,
that
so
are.
like a little
very-
existentialism.
The God,
that
the
kind of
God
thing.
equation.
And the reason
Okay.
why I like it is because somehow it connects with me, like in a personal level, and that's why when I do my character stuff, like that is me up to 100,
Mhm.
like over the top.
Interesting.
Okay.
So like my character is based on my real life. Like I actually like this type of things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the most genuine way that you can be.
Right.
Turn it up.
If you weren't wrestling, what would you see yourself doing?
If I wasn't, I never thought about that. I only have one
Well,
option usually, and that's what I want.
Ooh.
So
Okay.
Right.
No, that's okay
but,
too.
oh.
All right. Well, everybody else says you need a backup plan,
I
that
get-
kind of thing. You don't want me to be 70 and still
Oh,
hobbling
I
to the
would
ring.
like if it wasn't wrestling, something that I really enjoy doing is booking shows.
Okay.
I like
Ah.
that part. I like the storytelling. Overall,
Okay.
I love telling stories.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite part. Whether it's like wrestling, like I would prefer wrestling, but
Right.
like just being able to tell a story, whether it's
Yeah.
like as a writer or like booking stuff like that, that would be
Mhm.
pretty cool.
Well,
pretty nice.
Rayo may be the story of a Peruvian man came to the U.S. on $1 and a dream, went for it, was smart enough to listen and observe the landscape, and then found out that he himself is the product. When you do well, ask for more, get over. All these lessons that most people don't ever learn, or if they do, it's way late in their career, and you learned it early. And I hope that you end up being the Peruvian superstar that came to America and did good and made good. I'm
I think
rooting
that you
for
already are proving
Yeah.
that right now, and you've got
Yeah.
a whole lot more to share with the masses. And
I think you've got a great story. Also, I want to give you a shout out. Happy birthday yesterday. you
Thank
thought we
you.
weren't going to notice. Yeah. So happy birthday.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you.
Did you do
Appreciate
anything
it.
special to celebrate?
I went to the beach. Then I went to like
Nice.
I wanted to do skydiving, but they didn't let me. So
I've never done that. I'm afraid of heights, but I
Oh,
really want
I'm
to
afraid
try
of heights too, but I
skydiving.
really wanna
That's why I
try.
want to do it, because I want to push myself and do it.
life's
Yeah, I would
changing
love
or
to do
something
it.
like that. Yeah.
All
funny,
right,
I'm not
tandem
afraid.
skydiving. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
let's
all
record
it
for the
four of us,
cast.
let's do it. Yeah.
That could be an
Alright.
adventure, right?
Yeah.
That'll be a on location one.
I don't need to set myself up for accidents. They just seem to happen to me. So I don't really need
gonna
to
pass
stage
on
it.
that?
Yeah, I'm gonna pass on the
You're gonna-
skydiving.
And I was just throwing it out there, see if it stuck. It rolled right down and fell in the.
Well, now I want to go. So can we do that?
Well, let's just
Oh,
see if we can
do
make
you
it
and I,
happen.
Tara.
All right, fine. We can do that. All right. Well, do we have anything else? That was it for my questions from our fans. Thank you again for doing that from the
thank
Buy
you.
Me a Coffee group. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't have
Let's end this strong, guys.
Yeah.
You
Well,
just, can you just came back from a bloodbath? Can you tell
Yes.
me the most interesting thing you saw this weekend, and we'll go out on that. Just the wildest thing.
I mean, the weekend was kind of a blur because it was a cannabis infused festival. I guess
You know,
I guess the most interesting thing that happened to me was that I totally bombed during a musical performance. I had along with all of the cannabis and wrestling that you could stand, there was musical performances all weekend long.
wonderful.
And two of the artists were kind of friends of mine, one of which Che Flame had me featured on the beginning of one of his tracks, and then he has me featured on the end of another one, and he
Are you announcing or rapping?
yeah, it's like I'm doing
You're
like,
ring announcing them.
yeah, kind of like you remember back in old hip hop there would be drops like
Yes.
damn son, where'd you find this?
Right.
Ah.
Like and stuff like that.
Right.
So I'm kind of like that personality, but bringing him out like with a grand introduction as if
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
right
that's
here
cool,
at
that's
MCW.
cool.
Right.
So, we're working with the tech, it's kind of like playing off of an iPad, and I couldn't get my music. I couldn't hear it, to start.
There's no
When my
snare
pro-
in my headphones.
Yeah, it's like I'm just flying off the seat. So I ended up botching the beginning and the end. But, again, like I said, I'm kind of still in this haze, so I don't think anyone really cared or...
I was going to
All
ask, were you too high, or was it just that you couldn't hear the music?
I couldn't hear the music. Also, I'm not I've done concerts before, but
Uh-huh.
there was no, dry run. But this is
No.
our first time doing this cold in front of people.
Right.
Right.
So someone was bound to kind of maybe trip over the microphone cord or not have the levels right. And I was the...
How did you know that you messed up?
Well, for the intro, there's only certain amount of bars.
You stepped on him? You stepped on the...
Well, I heard his part. Well, it's like a pretty elaborate intro where I'm talking about how tonight you're gonna meet the undeniable, the uncontested, and I'm
a
leading up to-
rapper braggart? I've never heard of such a thing, sir.
Well, I'm bragging for him.
Right,
I'm
okay.
bragging on his behalf. And what happens is eventually the track starts. It kind of cuts me, the announcer, off, and it starts. And he just goes, I'm Jay Flame, and then, back for you.
Right.
I was way late. So he had no other choice
But the good
but to grab the microphone. They didn't have multiple mics, but he had to kind of grab it from my hand. And I'm standing there oh yeah, I kind of wasn't where I needed to be for that. Then
Happened.
for the outro, it was kind of Paulie Dangerously Inspired, where I'm kind of talking on a phone
Mhm.
about how much money Jay Flame expects to have at the end of this
Mhm.
performance. And
like Phone Tap by The Firm.
yeah, and AZ and Nas,
Yeah.
yes, something like that. But again, with the music and kind of the haze of the day and the festival, I was just way off and messed up the lines and kind of was just standing there at the end of the performance, on the stage, a casino. This is a casino and a festival, so we didn't really gather a lot of people, but it was just another kind of embarrassing, ugh.
Hopefully everybody else was partaking in all of the
Like I said, I don't think it was.
extracurriculars that weekend, so nobody
It wasn't
noticed.
streamed. The shows that I did were streamed and they were stellar. But I'd say that was an experience that was wild for me. Other than that, I do this.
What
Yeah.
So
about
the death matches were,
It's another Tuesday at the
Yeah.
office.
indeed.
So, hey, on that note of botching that, to book Larry, let you DM
may or
him.
may not botch something?
Yeah, well, that's kind of why I kind of made a name for myself with botching things. Even though the Price is Right, I didn't know the last name of the announcer.
bro.
That's
It's real,
not
bro.
the first time
It's
that
real.
not the first time that's happened.
It happens. It happens. Well, Rayo, thank you so much for joining us in studio today. It's been really interesting hearing all of these many sides to you, and I think I speak for everybody in the MCW fan base that we can't wait to see what you're going to do next.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Go get him, champ.
Yes, thank you, Rayo, for joining us. Episode 25. We're going to wrap it up real quick. Want to give a shout out to Kimani up in NYC, Starbucks Love. Rayo, our guest, for Brett Tearing and the lovely Tara. We'll see you next week on Tuesday at 8.
You make me